This is Spiritually Live.
Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and break down the active squads now for each USL season. Once again, I still have my three guests here, Mecca, Negative Zero, and Dave. We're going to go and get right into it. Mecca, I'm going to ask you to analyze your own squad, and we're going to start off with Fear. What do you have to say about it?
All right, I'll be as brief as possible since it's my own squad. I don't want to be too modest. All right, our starting lineup today was probably our ideal lineup. So it was me, Jeff, Brill, District, Danny, DP, Havoc, and Mercy. Havoc and Mercy being the medics. DP might switch medic with Mercy or Havoc. I haven't decided yet, depending on the squad, really. I think that's a pretty strong lineup, and we have a couple guys that can show up too. We have, Jake, Bulldog, Dr. Nick, Ice every once in a while, Jared if he ever fucking comes out of World of Warcraft.
Never.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can be a strong squad if I lead correctly. There was one play today that I fucked up, and it basically cost us the match. We were up 3. I made the wrong call. We went down 4, and then Warhawks camped their base, and we were fucked. So if my leading is consistent, or if somebody else can talk, because we didn't have a lot of people talking today either, for whatever reason, I think we can be okay. I think we can obviously make the playoffs here. We can make a run for the championship if we start building chemistry, because I do think we have a pretty good lineup. As far as overpriced and underpriced goes, I think we have a bunch of underpriced players, but I think the most criminally underpriced person is probably Danny. One of the reasons I stole him from Dave, I can get a really good starting Marine for 75.
Thanks.
And I gave him a nice little pitch that he would start every game and that he wouldn't on rejects. Trying playing man games with him there, and he decided to join, and I think he played pretty well with us today. He talks a lot. He's a good Marine. I think 75 is crazy, especially when he plays full time. A couple seasons ago, he played full times, and he had a really good ratio. I know Rejects was pretty good that season, but I think he's good. Overrated goes. I don't think we have an overrated, unless you want to count me. 225, I know I lead and everything, and I'm pretty good when I actually try, but I don't know, I'd probably the only overrated player on my squad, but I think we'll probably finish 3rd or 4th. I think we have a chance to beat Rejects, and we can play Overwatch close. We had a chance to beat Warhawks today. Roadhouse is going to be a close game depending on how I lead. So I think we end up 3-2 or 2-3, 4th place, and I think we can make a run at the championship.
Okay. One of the questions I just want to ask, since you're one of the co-captains of the squad, is you guys didn't pick up a lot of high-profile players. I think you and Jeff are the only high-profile players on the squad. Did you guys try to shoot for more mid-tier talent, or is that just how it fell out? Or kind of give me the thought process into that.
Well, so I had a squad. I faded it because I didn't want it under the Snakes name. So really, I'm the captain. Jeff's kind of just the figurehead for now. We originally were going to recruit a bunch of good players, and then 1 or 2 of them said no, and then we kind of decided to just build. Most of these guys on my squad, I'm pretty close with, and I've been pretty close with over the years. So I figured I'd get as many of those people on the squad as possible. I'm giving a lot of people who people underrate a chance, like Jake and Pearlheart and Danny, and I think District is 115 for District is pretty low too. Dr. Nick hasn't got a lot of chance. Mercy's kind of unknown, except to like Dave. I'm trying to give these guys a chance to kind of play. Yeah, he's great. I'm so glad I got him. I'm pretty close to Tyson. I have been for years, so I'm glad he got joined squad. I'm trying to give players like that a good chance to get a lot of experience and starting. And I think that those guys next year, I guarantee every one of those guys next year will be more high rated than they are this year. So that's what I kind of tried to do after I'm not gonna lie, my first options were some better players, but they kind of end up going different ways. Ernie's not playing at all, so he didn't end up joining. Staley, I don't know. But then after I got rejected there, I decided to recruit some, some 2nd, 3rd tier players that I think can be really good and will be good for the future of the USL.
To wrap that up, NECA, what would you give your squad on a grade from A to F?
I mean, my squad breakdown, I gave us a B-, but the way we played today, first half we played probably a B+, second half we probably played a C. So I'm probably going to stay around B-.
Okay, thank you. Nick, what do you think about Fear?
I give him about the same grade. I think he's pretty correct in what he's saying. I think some of the people that are rated lower in his squad, I think, really good pickups. Like Merciless, guys like that are a lot better than people think they are. And that's overall what I think. The way the ratings went, you're going to get 6 guys and they're going to rate people. It's their opinion. I think there in the ratings are some anomalies. That's always going to happen, no matter who you get to rate people. I think it's pretty overall correct, but I like the way they look. I think it's a good look for them.
Okay. Neg, if you had to give them a grade between A and F, what would you give them?
B minus.
Okay, thank you. Dave, what do you think about Fear?
About Fear, I'd say they're definitely underrated. I'm a little upset that Danny got stolen, but
Uh-oh. Tell us about that, Dave. What happened?
It was very much a surprise, but he definitely, wanted to get playtime. I really can't fault him for going to Fear because he can definitely get playtime on Fear. He is definitely one of the better Marines. And I would say that Danny, Jeff are definitely one of the underrated Marines on Fear. Jeff should definitely be at least a 220 player. And that's really just comes down to ratings. Jake can show up and he can be a very good Marine. It just depends. Bulldog, who knows? District can show up and play humongous. He can play like an enormous player. But you never know with District.
Jake is a wild card. I was going to name Jake just because, he doesn't play much.
Jake is definitely a wild card. You never know.
You're very right.
DP shows up whenever he wants to. But Havoc is huge if he shows up. He is only underrated because he doesn't show up. He hasn't showed up in past seasons. But if he shows up, he should be rated much higher. Ice is really good, especially for 30. There's no way he should be 30 if he only shows up. There's no fucking way. Mercy, Monster, Tyson, whatever you want to call him, Mercy is enormous. I'd love to pick him up. I wish we would have had the points for him when Danny was on the squad. I'd love to steal him, and maybe he'll join us, but probably not. Treacherous, really good. He's only 20. I don't know how well he'll do. Who knows? Typhoon Jared won't show up. Wouldn't depend on him. Fuck him. Who knows? Who the fuck cares? Jordan should probably be 180, 200 is my guess. But 225 with the players he has works out. So I'd say Fear is undervalued. It's good, but they need their top players to show. Fear can do really well. Personally, for my squad, I think they can just route us every game, but they need to be on their top game. They need their top players to show every game. And for me, that comes down to their medics. I mean, they need Dr. Nick, they need DP, they need Mercy, they need them to show. They're Marines, they're solid. Can't do wrong, rather. So we'll see how it goes. I think that's either, what's that, Jordan? Next week? 2 weeks from now? I don't remember.
I don't know. We play Overwatch and you in the next 2 weeks. I'm not sure the order.
Okay, it's somewhere close. I'm not sure I'll be making the Fear match. I think that's.
It's actually next week. Yeah, it's the 14th.
Okay, I don't think I'll be making that match. So it's gonna be up to Leo to lead that match. So it's all to Leo for that one. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, Dave, if you had to give them a grade, A through F, what would you give them?
Fear?
Yep.
I would give them probably a B minus, maybe a.
Okay. How far do you think they're going to get in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, I'd say they might.
Or are they going to make playoffs?
All right, so I would say Overwatch, Warhawks should make playoffs. Rejects should make playoffs. They should. You never really know, but I said they should. So I'd say Fear should make playoffs, but Roadhouse, just depends on how M4 menu does. So I'd say Fear should be 4th place. That's my guess.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a quick overview on my squad. Two of the people that I think are steals in this is District at 115. I think he's gonna have a good season this year, and he's probably gonna end up leading them guys in kills.
I agree.
Other than Jeff or Mecca. The biggest one in the whole entire thing is Havoc. If he shows up to a majority of their games, that is gonna help bolster their squad.
I agree
so
completely.
much.
Havoc is huge.
Fully agree. Yep. I agree a lot.
The guy that surprised me today, though, DP, he showed up and he got like 8 kills today. He put up good numbers today, and I've been waiting to see a season where he just comes out and plays a whole entire season, and I think this will be a good opportunity for him to kind of show everybody what he can really do with Mecca and company. I think he did a really good job on the salary cap, and he can afford another top player like Stavedine or Kipper.
He still
even
has
if he wanted to.
170 points. 170
Whoever
points.
gets, I'll put it this way: whoever gets Stavedine, that's a big pick.
So A through F, I'll probably give him a solid, B plus. He's got a lot of unknown talent on there, and a lot of low rated guys. Some guys I'd like to see step up. Iceman, he's the preseason superstar, but when the season comes, I don't know what the deal
For
is
what?
with him, man.
For what, like 3 or 4 seasons now?
Yeah, for like 3 seasons he's done good, and then he just dropped off when the season began. So hopefully
The way
Mecca
I
can cue
would
that.
describe Fear is that they are the perfect squad for what I was looking for this, these ratings,
You're welcome.
this system. Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Because this is exactly what like the system should be. It's got a top Marine, which I think Jordan's a little overrated. I think he should be a little bit lower in cost, but that's really the rating system's fault. But I think like he's got a lot of good players that can really, capitalize, really do well. So it's really just depends on the leadership for them. That's all it comes down to.
Okay, good solid
Notice that.
analysis on Fear. So the next squad we're going to cover is Miracle. First off, I'd like to say thank you to SF for stepping up and making this squad. Without him stepping up and making this squad, we wouldn't have a 6th squad in the league, and we would have to do bye weeks, and nobody wants that. One of the good things about him is he brought in a lot of like underpriced and like a new people that wouldn't have gotten a chance
Fuck
anywhere
Vince.
else.
Okay.
No, I
So-
second that.
So
Thank you, SF.
Mecca, what
Thank
do you
you.
have to say about Miracle?
Again, thanks SF for making a squad. I'm pretty sure 3K Werewolf is Pandy. It's not the real 3K Werewolf, but I'll just leave that.
It's
I'll
not.
leave that. They joined at the same exact time. They joined squads. I'll just leave that out there for the admins to investigate. Again, thanks for Fosso for joining.
Yeah, nice, Foster.
Vince as well. I think the most underrated player on the squad is actual rating and actual talent is probably Z. I know we've had our differences over the years and people think that we hate each other. I mean, it's just a troll for me, but Z at 65 is a huge pickup because Z can really turn around the game with when he shortens his solo flanks, I'll say, because some of them are ridiculously long, decathlon long, but when he shortens it, to a sprint, he's pretty good. He can really change the game. He can take down a top player or a med right away with a little bit of lag help, but he's just a skilled player as well. So I think he's going to be huge for them. You put him in like maybe VC and Mad on flank or something, all of a sudden you have maybe something going there that can surprise some people. I think they're going to keep it a little closer than people expect. I'm not sure if Z showed for them today or not. I don't know why Rejects blew them out so much. I'm not that Rejects is not a good squad, but I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I think as they gel through the year and Fosto gets comfortable leading, I think they're going to be a good player. My X factor for them, besides Z, is actually Udini. I think he's going to be a good player someday. Now that he's finally off squads where he benches for Bronzy Bears, Sugar Skulls, all the reiterations of those. I think he'll actually be a good player someday. He's pretty decent in Overwatch. I usually judge people's infantry skills by their skills in other games, and when I see them be pretty decent in other games, I know they can eventually be good at infantry, and I think Udini falls into that. As far as overrated goes, not applicable for this squad. Underrated, besides VC and Z, if they show up, if VC tries in that trolling, I think Crip is criminally underrated as well. Mad, he's a very passive player. Crip is Mad, question mark, by the way, if you guys were wondering out there. I think he's a very passive player, but when he gets on a roll, his aim is deadly. If he just got a little bit smarter and he didn't play as passively, I think he could be a really good player as well. And he's played this game forever, and he was really good in hardcorps too, which again translates, if you're really good in one zone, you can usually pick it up in a different zone. So I think they have a bright future. I would like to see this squad stay another season, maybe after this season, because this season's going to be hard, but they pick up, another solid medic, maybe another Marine, another side leader, and I think they can have a bright future.
Do you think they have any shot at playoffs this season, Mecca?
No, I don't. Not to discourage them, I just don't. I think 1 through 5 is pretty much set. The 4th spot, I think, is the biggest right now, 3rd and 4th. I think Rejects, actually 2 through 5, probably Rejects, Roadhouse, Fear, everybody's going to be fighting for that. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't think they have a shot at playoffs this season. And, I mean, it would be nice for Kippa or somebody like Chaos to join, but I don't think they will. But yeah, bravo for them stepping up, and I think they'll be more competitive than people think, though.
Okay. Neg, what do you have to say about Miracle?
I'm extremely proud of SF for doing that. And everybody said just merge squads, but I didn't think it would go right. The people I had, they were going to join him anyway. I want to put my pick in here for Z. I think the most underrated player. By far.
Okay.
And I think they're surprising people. I don't know if they'll do well or, win or go to the playoffs, but I would say watch out for Savage. He's a dangerous son of a bitch. And SF's a great man. I think they're just going to do a lot better than you guys think they will. So I'm proud of them. I'm proud of Fausto for going there. So thanks for doing that. Good.
All right. Dave, what do you got to say about Miracle?
I would say that Faust is a huge, huge bonus, but I would say Miracle is a symptom of the way the system is. It's not perfect, could be better, and it's a problem with the way that the captains are. Because a lot of captains don't, or a lot of players don't have necessarily faith in SF or faith in other players. I mean, they may have faith in Fausto or somebody else to lead them well, but I'm really proud of the way that SF stepped up. They got Vince, even though I would have loved to have Vince on rejects, but I'm proud that he stayed there. And Noir stayed there, and Z stayed there, and I think they can do really well this season. They're not going to be in the running for playoffs, but they're still going to be stronger than a lot of their squads in past seasons. So, like I said before, I think they're going to be in the right contention, but next season it'll be better. So I think it'll be. I think we're getting there.
All right. Sounds good to me.
I don't see a difference in the squad being so much better. This season it seems like it's closer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And my breakout player for this squad is going to be Jerry. I think Jerry's going to have a huge season this year, and he's going to probably lead them in kills.
JJ is great. JJ's good.
So with that, we're going to move on to the next squad, and we're going to move on to Overwatch. That's a squad captain by me. I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm going to let Mecca, and then I'll kind of chime in at the end. Mecca, what do you have to say about Overwatch?
I mean, I think Overwatch are the clear favorites coming into the season. Most squads that, ER and Champ and ESO are on usually are anyways. Usually they're on the same squad, Champion and ER. But ER usually is not in that mix. I think it's good for them to play. I know a lot of people are looking on the squad and kind of hating it because the scene is stacking, but I think it's a good mix of players. I think there is still a glaring weakness. I think if Iron and Water don't show up, I think it's going to be a tough time out there for you guys. I saw Albert medding today. That was good. It's good to see that as well. But there's just not a lot of med depth after that. Jane, I don't see you winning a championship with Jane medding. I just think that she gets picked off. The Marine lineup's pretty deep, and that's also a problem. I see, maybe somebody goes over to Miracle or a different squad because they can't get a lot of playtime. I'm not saying it's going to be Shasta, but it could be Shasta. Maybe Mizhouse wants a little bit more playtime. I don't know if Shasta showed up or what was going on with that today. Maybe they want a little bit more playtime. Iron doesn't care about playing actual league games, so also could be a problem. Water and Albert Med could be good, though. Throw in Mizhouse med. I think Mizhouse's future on the squad is med. I think the most underrated player on the squad is probably let's see. It has to be Mizhouse. I mean, I don't think Mizhouse is a great player, and I don't think he turns it completely around for you. But I think, especially as med, I think he's solid. I think he's a very solid med. I think he should be up in the 75-90 range as far as med goes. I understand he's a little bit lower because people think of him as Marine, which he's kind of lacking. But he has some wonderful nades as well, and he could stay alive a long time as medic. I think if Iron and if it's a choice between Miz, Iron, and Jane, I'd put Miz in next to Water. Obviously, Water's your number one there. Overrated. I don't see really an overrated player on this squad at all. I mean, if ESO shows up to every game, he's a 225. If he doesn't, he's not. He just got a new internet as well, so I think he'll be fine on that. I don't really see an overrated player on the squad, though. I think I'd give him overall probably. I think I give him an A or A minus in in the game. The way they played today, I'd probably give them an A. I think they're probably the front runners by quite a large margin. It's pretty much them and then the rest of the league. So it should be interesting. But again, with some of the weaknesses there, it's not as dominant as it has been in the past, and I think there could be some chinks in the armor.
Dave, what do you have to say about Overwatch? You played them today. If you had to give that squad a grade, what would you give them?
Overwatch, I give them an A+. I mean, they just showed it.
Do you see any weaknesses with the team or anything like that?
Well, I didn't think their meds were super fantastic because we were able to kill them pretty easily at the start, but their Marines are pretty dangerous, and I think they're leading overall. Their leading is the key. That's what I think.
Okay. Dave, what do you have to say about Overwatch?
I would say that they're definitely the favorites, but they're not quite as much the favorites as they were in last season's. I would agree that their medics are definitely the weakness. If you can have Iron and Water show every week, it is what it is. Because Water is different.
Dave. Asterisk, Water, and Iron. That's fantastic. If you can have them.
Water is definitely underpriced, and Iron is underpriced. But the reason they're underpriced is because they really don't show every week, and that's the only reason. But you really don't have much Marine depth otherwise. You have a champion EER who can carry you really well, but it's not the same as it was in previous seasons. So I'd say it's better than it was, but it's not the same as it was, or rather as it should be. I think Overwatch will do really well because I think they're going to be active, but they're not. I feel like there's a lot more complications than previous season.
Okay.
So it just depends. It just depends on who shows.
Okay. Just to kind of sum up my own squad, I put this together with a bunch of free agents that came together.
Fucking crazy.
And this squad is going to go as far as my leading will take it. So I have all the Marine power that I need, and everyone keeps harping about the medic weaknesses and everything like that. But I think I have, 4 or 5 solid that can step up in med if needed. I mean, I got Iron, Miz, Albert, and Jane. I think all those guys are super serviceable. So we'll see how far I can take them this season. With that, we're going to go ahead and move on to Rejects. Rejects is a returning squad, and they've lost a lot of their key players this season. Mecca, what do you think about Rejects and the job that and what they turned into this season?
I mean, I think they're obviously a little bit weaker than last season, losing Champ, Sov, and Fairfax. I think they're a little bit weak in the med department. I think Emblem is actually very underrated, though. I think that guy could be good the more he plays. I mean, he hasn't played in a while, but just in SBs in the match today, he seemed like he was stepping it up really well. Fire the same. Cat hasn't played in a few seasons, but I think she can be pretty good. The Marine lineup is very solid. Ideally, I would think it'd probably be Soul, Nos, Leo, Dave, B-Man, Cage starting if it's 8s. Probably drop Cage if it's 7s, unfortunately. B-May can be good, but he can also be a cancer to the team, so you got to watch out with that. I know in seasons past, and if B-May's on a good squad, I tell everybody to focus him because they're going to kind of rage a little bit. Same with kind of like the TG factor. If you focus him and get him down a few kills early, he'll rage a little bit. So there's a kind of a weakness there. But I think overall they'll probably end up being the number 2 squad. I wouldn't be surprised if Fear or Warhawks beat them. I don't think anybody would be really. I think it's pretty close as far as that goes. Roadhouse has a shot to beat them if Dave and Soul don't show. I think Roadhouse can beat them. I think Leo's leading is really good. It's not about that. I think Dave is one of the better Marines, and likewise with Soul. Most underpriced player is most likely going to be. I'm gonna have to say Emblem too. I get why he's 30. He hasn't played in a long time, but it's probably still a little bit low. Most overpriced, don't really see an overpriced here. Maybe B-May at 130, but B-May, solid talent-wise, B-May is one of the better Marines in the league as far as probably like top 20, 25 goes. As far as Brain goes, maybe not. Maybe he should be a 115. I wouldn't even really drop him that much. But yeah, I'd give the squad probably an overall maybe a B+. I mean, I think the best chance of beating Overwatch is these guys if Soul shows, if the right med show. If you can get an Emblem Fire and Ice med combo and then you have that green lineup I said, I think they can go far. And as one other statement, what the fuck happened to SV? I haven't seen that guy on in like 6 months after he had a questionable performance in the playoffs for Double Dragon. Apparently wasn't there for that, but I haven't seen him on since.
Yeah, I haven't seen SV either, and who knows where he's at, Dave? Find him. Dave, you're the captain of this squad. What was your goal in putting this together?
All right, so this is a great squad, best squad ever. But to be honest about it, I wanted to put together, a few friends, or put together some players from past seasons, and then kind of bring in some new players that hadn't played together with. Chica has been obviously one player who's been wanting to play with us for a long time, but she hasn't been able to. So Chica, Babel, Astro, Cypher, Emblem, players like that, we really haven't been able to really bring in because, to be honest, I've been focused on wanting to win. So I've been really getting players like Chris, Sav, players like that, and to that effect, we're much weaker. And we're much weaker in terms of who's going to be active, especially in terms of Fire, and she's not very active. I don't even know if she's going to show. Who fucking knows? So I wouldn't even count on her, to be honest. But with Denny leaving, we have 100 points to pick up another medic. I don't know. And to answer your question about why the mountain or why hasn't been showing, what he told us was that his monitor is broken. So he's trying to fix that. So who knows? I don't know if that's true. I don't know if he's just, trying to, blame an excuse. I don't know. So I'm hoping he gets that fixed soon. I mean, this season or this week rather, really isn't a problem for it. I mean, he's 95. I think he's a little overpriced at 95. I think he should maybe be 75, but it's still good. But Astro did really well for us. Babel did really well for us. He came in, played med. He could play LMG, no problem this week. B-May was here, but he wanted to give other players playtime, so he just said fuck it. Soul, you never know if he's gonna show up, but it is what it is. I think we're gonna do really well. I think medics are gonna be our weakest point. But I think that we can hold just strong with Overwatch, just strong with Warhawks, just strong with Fear. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it holds out. But I feel that it's more even this season than it has been in previous seasons.
All right. Thank you for that insight on how you put together your squad, Dave. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw a quick analysis out there. Everyone talks about Rejects being like the team that's gonna, keep up with other teams. I predict they're gonna miss the playoffs this year. I think Dave, he's done. He's done.
Rest in peace.
He doesn't have anything left. He doesn't have anything left.
Rip.
I actually don't argue with that.
So, and I'll go ahead at the end of the show and I'll tell you who I think is going to make playoffs in place of Dave, and we'll go through that. But let's go ahead and move on to the next squad. I don't want to get too much on Dave because I talk about that guy all day. Let's go ahead and talk about Roadhouse a little bit. I like this squad. What Pam has done year after year is he's kept the same group of players together, and they've continuously gotten better every season.
You think so?
I think so. And the salary cap, the way it was, or the way it was when players had all the options in the world to go and there was nothing limiting people, it allowed this squad to actually get better.
That was the ideal to make these kind of squads better because, they want to play together. And it's great that M4, Manu wanted to join them, but, this kind of squad is the ideal. They want to play together and they're really close to the cap, but they're really, they're really close to competing with other squads.
Yeah. So, I really like this squad. I think they're going to do well this season. Mecca, what do you have to say about Roadhouse?
I would agree with most of that. I think they're gonna do pretty well. Again, a weakness is it seems to be a common theme is medics. Like Neg said earlier, when Neg's not playing, it was Harry Nuts playing, and I think Harry Nuts is an awful med. He's not a bad LMG. I just wouldn't put him in as med. I think Victim is one of the most overrated players in USL.
Why is
I
that?
don't get it. I just don't get it. I watch him play. I see him eat nades. He plays like VC when he's trolling in pub. I see him catch laws and nades, and he's out in front solo flanking. I just don't get it. I don't get the hype around Victim. But with Pandy joining, I think that's huge. If Pandy and M4 show up on the same week, I think if Pandy shows up today and Victim, I mean, as much as I talk shit about Victim, he's better than Joe. If all those guys and maybe Man U shows up to med, I think they could have gave Overwatch a pretty close run to the money because I know it was tied at one point. Maybe it was just luck a little bit, but I think they can push for a playoff spot if Pandy and M4 show consistently. I think their ideal lineup is probably Killer, Pandy, Darth, M4, KW and Palm as Marine, and then probably Manu and Neg or Manu and Victim as Medic. The most overrated, I would have to say, is probably Manu at 115. He's really fallen off the past couple seasons, and he showed up to like 1 or 2 matches last season, so 115 is probably a little steep. I get it because of his history and his perceived medic abilities in the past. Underpriced is probably, let's see, KW at 75, I think is pretty low. CB at 40. I mean, when he tries and when he has his head out of his ass, CB's a pretty good Marine. But I'd go with KW as the most underpriced because at 75, if KW shows up, and I know he's got kind of the Iceman hype about him. Everybody thinks he's good, and then when it gets into the season, he doesn't really do anything. But I think playing behind when he's usually the best Marine on the squad is the problem, but playing behind Killer, Pandy, M4, I think he can have a good season. So if he shows up, I think Roadhouse can be very competitive. I'd probably give them a with the ideal lineup, I give them a C plus. With kind of the faded out lineup without M4 Pandy, they're probably more towards C minus.
Okay, do you think they're gonna make playoffs this season?
I'll say no because I think that means Fear would have to drop out.
Okay. Neg, this is your squad. What do you have to say about it?
Well, I can't say he's too wrong on that, really. It's a pretty good assessment. I'll give you my honest opinion. I don't think Manu or Victim's going to show up, so it's going to force me to med. And then we're going to have guys like Joe, med, who's not really a med. So I think he's pretty solid on that. That's about right. I think Marine-wise, what do you say with the M4? If they show up, and that's what I said before, that's the question about our squad. Who's going to show up? If we show, I think we'd do pretty well. But I just don't think we're going to be active, and I don't think a lot of people are going to show. I think he's right.
All right. Anything else you'd like to say about your squad, Neg?
I think I'm the best med in the history of the league, and I think I'm way underrated. So besides that, I think he's pretty right.
Okay. Dave, what do you have to say about Roadhouse?
I'd like to say that I'd like to pick up Neg, and I think we do well.
Wow, Dave's trying to
I'm on
snipe
board
people
with that.
right now.
I'm totally
What
on board
a
with that.
scumbag. See, this is what we're talking about right here, community. We have to put these rules in place to stop the madman. But what else? Do you agree with the assessment?
Thanks, Dave.
Or anything else, Dave?
No, I agree that they have the potential to do well, but they need those top players to show. They need Manu, M4, Pandy, Darth. They need them to show. If they don't show, if they don't want to play to their fullest potential, they're not going to do well.
Yep.
They
Hey, David,
they
If
can
shit
do
goes wrong,
well.
Dave, I'm coming.
Huh?
If things go bad, Dave, I'm coming.
Oh yeah, you come for me, huh? All right, I'll see you there.
Okay.
But I think they can do well. It's really up to the players that they have. If they don't want to play, if they don't want to win, you can't do anything for it.
Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and move on, and we're gonna go on to our next squad, Warhawks. This is a squad that came together from Apollo squad breaking apart, forming 2 different squads, Warhawks and then Overwatch. Mecca, what do you have to say about Warhawks?
I mean, we lost to them today. I thought we could have won. I had us in position to win. I said this earlier, and I made the wrong call. R was actually in, and they still won, which is kind of surprising. They
What do
play
you have to say
very.
about R?
Is that a call to R?
Nothing. I won't say anything about R at all. They play a very passive game when they're in the lead, and I'm not gonna lie, we do that the same. I played a little too passive when we were only up 3, and they kind of fucked us over. But they play a very passive game when they're in the lead, and I think that's what suits them. They don't have a necessarily aggressive lineup. They had Kaga and R marining today, and I believe Sav was marine too. And don't get me wrong, Sav is a good marine. I don't know if he's a 225 marine. He probably would if he played the whole season, but he's been a little rusty on his marine. But yeah, Sav and TG. TG played a lot better than I expected him to. I mean, his stats lie a little bit. I don't think he played a 12-4 game. He had a lot of cleanup kills, but he played pretty well today. I don't know who led. I'm assuming it was Andrew. He didn't play very well, but I think they're a good squad and they have a bright future. I can see them losing to Rejects in Overwatch. Probably come down to a tiebreaker with Fear or Roadhouse. Roadhouse can sneak a win in. If Roadhouse shows Pandy M4, they can probably sneak a win in if Warhawks doesn't have their ideal lineup in. But the most underrated player is Ketis, but again, it makes sense. He's never going to show up. If Ketis shows up, he is a top 5 medic in the league, and it's not even a question in my head. But I understand why he's 115 because he's just never going to show up. You'd think he would show up for his IRL friend TG, but apparently not. The most underrated, again, I think I mentioned this early in one of the other broadcasts here, probably Demon or Warhawk. Eric is a pretty good marine. He's still kind of coming back. He came back later than most of us, but he can be a good marine. He can pop off some nice laws and nades. Andrew, he's going to lead for them, so I think 65 is a little low for him. I think his play style is kind of dumb. He dies a lot, so it's probably why he's 65, but he is still a decent leader, and he's very vocal. If he can kind of keep his stupid deaths under wrap, I think they'll be a good squad. I'll give them a B+, A- as well. They're probably right around the Rejects area. I think I like the parity of this season, though. I think almost any squad can beat any squad depending on lineup in the day and the map. I think if you get Warhawks on KR, you're probably going to lose. I think that's probably their best map. But EC, Apollo, I don't know. You could probably beat them on those.
Okay. Neg, what do you have to say about Warhawks?
I'm in full agreement on his picks. I think he picked both the guys that I think are really fantastic. I think he picked both the guys. They're highly underrated, and I agree with him. I might even give him a better grade on how good they could be. The guys that don't play so much, I think that he picked the 2 guys I would pick. It's just like you say, activity. I think their activity hurts them, but I think they're quite maybe top notch. They could be rated higher. I think he was exactly right.
Dave, what do you think about Warhawks?
I think they have the potential to be the season's favorites, but it really just depends on who shows. Because they have so many medics that they can do well, but it really just depends on leadership for them. Because I think this week, I think they had Andrew leading, but Sav kind of taking over as he could. So it's hard to say because Andrew did extremely well. He didn't really push out when he could, really take the flanks that he could. He didn't really take wild solo flanks. He did really well. He did super well. So I would say that, who really knows how they're going to do against a better squad? I would say that I'd wait until next week because Gabe is the turning point for them, but I would not count on him to show. He's not going to show. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
Could I add one more thing about?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The TG curse is real. Warhawks has been favored. I'm not even trolling. Warhawks has been favored. I think they've been in like 6 or 7 seasons. Warhawks has been favored probably most of those seasons coming in, and they've only won once, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I just don't think they're a clutch enough squad to actually bring it home. They're like Peyton Manning, they're regular season warriors, but once it comes to the playoffs, something happens and they just fall off. So I wouldn't put them as a championship team. I think they could make it to the championship. I just don't see them winning. The TG curse is real.
They're able to do it. They're aggressive. That's the problem. They're old time aggressive.
Okay. Now we're gonna wrap this up, and what I want to have happen is I want you guys to name the top 4 playoff squads and who's gonna miss playoffs and why. Mecca, who's gonna make playoffs and who's not gonna miss it? What squad is gonna miss it, and why are they gonna miss playoffs?
Okay, I have in order Overwatch, Rejects, Warhawks, Fear. Fear beats out Roadhouse because I think Fear beats Roadhouse 1-on-1. I think Roadhouse might be able to cause an upset over Warhawks or Rejects, but I think because we'll probably end up 2-3 because we're probably both going to beat Miracle, and I think Fear can probably maybe sneak a win out of Rejects or Overwatch, and maybe Roadhouse as well. So we could be 3-2, maybe 2-3, and I think that's why Fear takes the cake because we'll have the head-to-head matchup against them.
Okay, and who's your favorite to win it all this season?
I'll go ahead and say Overwatch, but I'm not as confident as most people. Again, with Iron not really liking to actually unspec, there's a huge glare there. But every other squad has weaknesses too. Their weakness is probably the less of the weaknesses. But I'll say Overwatch.
Okay, Neg, what top 4 teams are gonna make the playoffs, and why is the 5th place team gonna get left out?
Okay. Overwatch for sure. I have them favored to be champions.
Okay.
Rejects, and I think the two that are being left out is going to be my squad over Roadhouse and Miracle, just because simply that we just don't have the same amount. And I think as far as my squad goes, we've just neglected Matt a lot.
Okay.
I think we can actually step up and bite somebody in the ass, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. We do have the pieces, we can do it, but just we don't have meds because. The main reason is this, and it's the reason overall for the entire league. It's who shows up.
All right. So the top 4 squads that I think are going to make playoffs is Overwatch, Warhawks, Fear, and then what's Pambo's ham called?
That's Roadhouse. That's
Roadhouse.
a toss-up. That's a toss-up
Roadhouse.
on there.
The squad that misses playoffs this year is obviously going to be Dave's and Rejects. Not because they have not because they don't have a not because they don't have a talent or anything like that. It's just I think Roadhouse upsets them. I think Roadhouse has the most potential to surprise people this season. If Infor, Man U, and Pandy show up, that squad is entirely different. Those guys have to show up, and you put CB and Killer along with them. They're going to show up, and they might cause an upset this season. And cause Dave to miss the playoffs this year.
Hey, what about me, Yosh? I'm pretty awesome.
You're fine, Neggy. And with that, I would like to thank my guests. You're not going to get Dave's analysis. I think he fell asleep with a chicken wing in his mouth. So, it is what it is on that. But I'd like to thank you guys for coming on and kind of wrapping up the season and talking a little bit about the preseason with me today.